So, so the astrology of the week of 31 May 2021 through 6 June 2021 has us settling into this strange land between eclipses. I like to think about it as deja vu, that energy or that feeling of deja vu. You know, there's a waiting here because we're going to move into a solar eclipse in Gemini on the 10th of June, but there's this sense of the unknown known, if that makes sense, that it's different, it's strange, but maybe there's something familiar here. That's what fate is. You know, we sense that this is where we're supposed to be. And we have Venus and Jupiter perfecting a water trine. Venus will enter Cancer, Jupiter still in Pisces, and I think that gives us this added sense of comfort within the strange to enjoy this week. So let's dive in. Let's look at the aspects this week, the big movements of the planets. You know, aspects are just the way that the planets meet when they touch. You know, you can think about if you're in a room with someone, like at a party, and you see someone you like, you know, you're kind of moving closer to them, and then when that maybe first touch or handshake, when you meet them, that's when that aspect perfects. And so this is why astrologers like to focus on the perfecting aspects, because it's that point of departure when things can kind of move between the two objects. It's when they finally collide, as it were, and shake things, and you know, and are able to exchange what they need to exchange at a given moment of time in the sky. So I always start these, or recently I've been starting these with just checking out these aspects, and I look at the main planetary aspects, the 7 traditional aspects. I usually am not looking at the moon's aspects because the moon moves so fast. Every week it's aspecting many planets. So if we were to add those, it would just be overwhelming. You know, the art of astrology is often the art of redaction. You know, we're removing things. The astrologers have to know what to remove and know how to then hone in on something that is the kind of true expression of the energy. And there's different astrologers that have different preferred objects of examination. So that's why I encourage everybody, always go find some other astrologers, and I'm sure you do. You've got, you know, a few that you like, and they're using different systems than I do. I use primarily a Hellenistic model and then incorporate it with more of a modern kind of spiritual energetic. So let's just check out these aspects. I mean, the big thing that happens right out of the gate here on Tuesday is that the sun will conjoin that north node. And the thing about it, anytime we're in an eclipse season, every eclipse season has the sun making a conjunction to either the north or south node. So this is less of a moment where it's really just a defining feature of the energy of the period of an eclipse season. So, but it's on the moment of that perfection, sure, maybe you'll feel something here. Maybe you'll see that sun or that solar consciousness expand out in ways that, you know, might feel good. They might feel, you know, a rush of excitement. But then there may be a come down. That's often how I think about the nodes, and particularly the north node. It can be these bursts of energy and expansion that require an integration and come down later. You know, it's like we feel this amazing energy, but it's not without consequence. You know, we always have to pay. You know, there's a price to pay. It's called karma, if you want to use that model, or it's called just the consequences. You have to pay for what your intake. There's always consequences in life. So the north node can maybe expand in such a way that that we lose sight of the consequences and then have to pay them later. So just know that's kind of what eclipse season is. It's like the beginnings and endings we all talk about, those fated beginnings and endings. Well, you know, an ending is tough, you know, and a beginning is tough. Sometimes you have to let go, and you always have to let go if you begin something new. You're saying no to other things, you know, and so there's consequences for our choices. And I embrace consequences. I think that's the healthy way. You say, all right, I own it. It's one of my favorite phrases. I own it. I accept responsibility and I own it, and I will pay the price, and I will take responsibility, you know, and that way we clean and heal for the long term by owning something. So this happens here right on Tuesday. Like I said, you're going to have the sun meeting the north node, and what I had written here is that it may expose the restricted domains of potential that we're often choosing from. And the reason why I write this is that the sun is that consciousness. It's what we are aware of. And so often, we're only able to act based on what we have knowledge of. And our cultural conditioning, our familial conditioning, our belief systems, they've created a restricted set of potential for us. And I think that's at its best what an eclipse season does. It can cut out and reformulate the potentiality of our consciousness. Because when we believe something is true, when we have a new kind of expanded sense of the possible, then we can actually enact something. It's like many thinkers, many successful, so-called successful people have all said that you believe something and then that's how you can make it happen. If you don't have a conscious vision or a sense that something is even a potential, it's never going to happen. So I think with this North Node Sun conjunction, look for maybe expansions, and they can sometimes be uncomfortable. Like maybe something has to come shake up your current belief set, and then it'll crack it open and you'll see, oh yeah, this is what I could do. This is what is on the table for me. And it can be a very invigorating process, but it might require letting go or a cracking or an abandonment of where we had put our solar energy up to the point of that conjunction with the North Node or that eclipse season. Remember, in eclipse season, sun gets blocked out. And so that's what I think of the domain, or you might say the range or the domain, my math is a little rusty, of what could be has to be blocked out, and so that we get a refreshed set of possibilities. And that's what I'm really leaning into here with this North Node conjunction, and really this whole eclipse season, and particularly the solar eclipse that's coming on the 10th of June in Gemini. And again, we can read these eclipses, the signs they happen and really flavor the energy. And this Gemini eclipse, the sun is in Gemini, is about the mercurial side. Mercury rules Gemini, the thinking, the thought, the analysis, the language. I talked about that in my last video, how we identify words and we create reality with language. I was reading this Philip K. Dick book I've been telling you guys about. I'm reading now The Divine Invasion. There's a whole thing in there about humans name things, and that's how they take sort of ownership over them, so-called in this biblical model. But the naming process is so powerful. That's why you see people taking back their power. They get a new name. They change their birth certificate. They say, now I'm going to name myself, and they can kind of let go of maybe a difficult childhood or a tough family if they want to let go of that old naming. It's so powerful to name yourself. So the other big thing this week, this comes the next day. This comes on the 2nd of June, so this is Wednesday. We have Venus entering Cancer, and this is very significant. Anytime a benefic planet, whether that's Jupiter or Venus, or a malefic, Saturn or Mars, changes signs, it reorients the whole zodiac, because benefics spread positive energy. That's what they do. And so Venus now in Cancer, and let's just get it up. I'm going to get up. Let me share my screen here. We'll animate this. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So you've got where we need to be on Wednesday. There's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday here. Venus comes right here into Cancer. It is going to enter Cancer where I am. Let's see, roughly. What's this going to be? It's going to be about 3 in the afternoon where I am, so in the morning on Wednesday if you're in North America. But look what happens here. So now Cancer gets benefic Venus, and this water segment of our chart, that's the big story this week, by the way, is the water signs really get that love, even more love than they got 2 weeks ago when Jupiter came into Pisces. Now you get Venus in Cancer. And so in the older text, the way the aspects work is that Venus can do wonderful love, provide its love and its comfort to signs that are later in the zodiac to it. So we're looking at Virgo here, Libra, and Scorpio. You all now get an overcoming aspect from Venus upon its entry into a Cancer. And for example, Scorpio placements, while Venus was in Gemini, Venus made no aspect to Scorpio. It was what we call aversion. So like if you're a Scorpio sun, or if you have a bunch of planets in Scorpio, you're about to have an overcoming trine from transiting Venus. It's going to feel great. It should feel wonderful. and even if you're struggling now, there may be a little bit of pop-up opportunities or pop-up feel-good moments. Venus is relationships and pleasure. And sometimes we go straight to romance and like pleasurable romance, but it can be anything. It can be a smile from just a stranger. That's extremely pleasurable. I've seen Venus aspects just be, someone says hi and there's a connection, the light of their spirit comes into the light of mine through that eye contact and that energetic exchange. So from the most spiritual sense, Venus can just be pleasurable exchange and the kind of uplifting spiritual pleasure, the soul satisfying connectivity that can happen in life. And so there it is. Now Venus will be with Mars for the first little bit of this transit in Cancer, so maybe that brings even more of the kind of passion or that passionate edge. Venus and Mars together can often be a sexual energy, a kind of, in relationships and dating and wherever you are in that spectrum of life. You just remember back to when you were maybe dating a lot, and they're jarring, right? Dating is like, there's breakups, there's sadness, there's expectations, there's letdowns, there's great highs and joys and projections of our needs and desires onto another person, and then they meet them temporarily, and so, but the Mars, you can see how much Mars can play a role in the relational side because of the letdowns and breakups and people let us down. I mean, that's what humans do. We let each other down, and so I think when we can incorporate the truth of that human beings are fallible, they make mistakes, we actually project onto people things that they aren't even meant to be, or they don't even want to be, and so, but that's the beauty of relationship, is that it's all held in the letdowns and breakdowns. And I think the best relationships, like true love, would be we accept people in spite of their fallible nature, and then you choose to accept a person over a long period of time, and that's how you kind of have this deeper transcendent love, maybe an agapic love. But this Venus Mars in Cancer, this co-presence, this I think could bring maybe some of the more tumultuous types of relational activity. You might find like just passionate let down, or maybe explosive. The people we love, we fight with too. That's the other thing. We fight with people we're around, so there can be little bickering and exchanges of, you didn't do this, I didn't do that. So anyhow, let me just show you here, when is Mars coming into, it's right here. So Mars will enter Leo on 11 June. We're sitting here on 2nd June. So you got about 10 days of that Venus-Mars co-presence. It doesn't perfect. They don't actually make a conjunction, but they're going to share that space. So there's going to be a flavor of that martial side of relating. It can feel good too. People talk about breakup sex, or breakup physical exchange. I want to keep this PG for everybody to watch this, but that kind of, or a makeup physical exchange, that martial side and that impassioned Mars can sort of bring people together. Now, all this happens in the sign of Cancer, which is our home life and the family and the kind of safe space that we try to create for nurturing. So look for that. Look for maybe shakeups there. It's good to have, I think, Mars and Venus in Cancer in a certain way, because it brings that kind of connection into the home, into the kind of deeper home of our emotional life. Home is where we always have a home, an emotional home that we're carrying everywhere. And so now we can use this Venus to enjoy that, and then this Mars to kind of have some of that heat and that pleasure there. So let me come back. That's a big story. Venus here in Cancer. Scorpio, you're about to get a huge upgrade. Libra placements, you're going to get that overcoming square. Capricorn, you have now the Venus opposition. So any Capricorn risings, you've got the 7th house Venus, Mars. That might be good for partnership. But you can see how it changes. This Gemini Venus didn't have the effect that it's going to have on these signs now. And so it's a big, big upgrade. We always need to follow where Venus is, where Mars is. All right, so let me come back to the PowerPoint. I'm just going to kind of keep going here. I'm moving. I'm gonna try to move faster here. So it's a strange land between eclipses, and this is the thing I was speaking about at the beginning of the video. I think about it like dusk. You ever been outside, you walk out and it's like dusk, and the sky, the color of the sky is really strange. Like, wow, what color is that? Never see that color. Usually it can be like a pink or red or even like a purplish. And you think, this is really strange, you know, wow. But it's beautiful. These colors are beautiful, but it engenders a sense of what's happening, you know, a sense of the unknown. I have here, there's something in the air. Well, what's in the air? What is this? Where am I? It's kind of dreamlike, this dreamscape. I think about this land between eclipses as very dreamy. You know, the idea of not knowing quite what is the real truth or unreality or irreality, you know. And we're in that liminal realm, that land between the world before this set of eclipses and the world that will come after this set of eclipses. And so I think that that's going to be defined this whole week. We're already in that. I'm feeling that tremendously. And this whole week is a week of, we don't have the solar eclipse yet, but we just had the lunar eclipse. So the great thing about this week, though, and this is going to be on Thursday, the 4th. Let me see here. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, sorry, Friday the 4th. Venus and Jupiter are going to perfect that trine. So the two benefic planets forming a geometric relationship that is the most benefic geometric relationship we have, the trine, and in water signs, signs that they're both very, very, very comfortable in. Water signs are lucky because you have Venus is exalted in Pisces, Jupiter rules Pisces, and so there's a lot of benefic action in these water signs, and I think it makes sense. You know, water is life. We're water. We drink water. I mean, we bathe in water. Water is essential to pleasure. You know, things get you know, just that there's a clean. We feel clean. We feel refreshed. We feel invigorated. You know, I woke up this morning. I was like, I got to get some water. I drank that water. It just was perfect. It's exactly what my body needed to be satisfied and get ready for the day. So you're going to get this trine here, and I think it's the idea is that like strange beauty. You know, have you ever seen the models, the fashion models? I think there's a trend in the last, you know, however many years, but they find this beauty that's unique. That's what a lot of times these fashion model agents are looking for, is unique beauty. You know, something that looks just so different, but it's just so beautiful. And I think that's where we're at with this land between eclipses, is settling into uniqueness, strangeness, and the beauty that can come with that. You know, and there's hope in the unknown. There's great hope in the unknown. Both Venus and Jupiter are planets signifying hope, and they're now there making this really lovely relationship in these water signs. There's a sense of hope emerging. Hope floats. That's a movie. That's why but you know, there's hope emergent now. And that's what eclipses do. This is the whole theme I've been talking about in the last few videos. They're upgrades. They're the universe jostling us out of what we thought we should be and bringing us into what we need to be. That's fate. And so there's great hope there. So I encourage you to be hopeful. Whatever changes are going on in your life right now, you know that there's supportive energy in the transiting sky that you can lean into and try to build on whatever is being interjected into your reality frame. You can build on that. You know, it's righting your ship, so to speak. So let's come now here to my next, this is be my transit of the week. I know I was talking to some folks this week and I was saying, look at my video for transit of the week if you're looking for some electional advice without getting specific elections. And this is it. This is the one I'm going to love here, is that water sign, right? How do you feel? You know, I went through all this already, but you see here, this is going to be on Wednesday. You'll have, and probably some on Tuesday. The exact moment that the moon enters Pisces is on Tuesday, about 11 in the morning in Central Europe. So very early in the morning Tuesday in North America. The moon comes into Pisces, and so that moon, which activates everything, the moon is our great activator. It's the fastest moving of the seven traditional. It comes to activate this water trine I've just spoken about. And this is my transit of the week. If you can find some lunar activation here, and look at the moon during this time, it makes a trine to Mars. We love that. And it makes it's not seeing Saturn, so it's safe there. You might want to, you know, let the moon aspect Mercury or the sun as its next applying aspect rather than Mars. But find a good spot there for this Pisces moon. You know, I was thinking here about how much water is our emotion. It's how we sense and feel. You know, we're mostly water. They've got the studies where you play music on water and take pictures, Dr. Emoto, and you can see how the water is so sensitive to the energy we project on it. The studies where you had the word love like on the water container, and you would pour that onto the plants and they would thrive, or if you had negative words, that they would wilt. So those are interesting in terms of just water and the projection that we make with thought onto the physical form, which is largely water. And I was thinking here of sentience, this notion of sentience, because we're sentient beings, and this is the idea of feeling. We feel and we think, and we're aware and we're awake. I think the water element at its best embodies this notion of sentience. This is why sometimes feelings get a bad rap, right? You see people say, oh, get out of your feelings, you're not your feelings. Well, you are. In some sense, you are your feelings. I mean, we're in a physical body that is sentient. So you are your feelings. And I think the approach is not to try to push the emotion away. It's to actually go deeper into it, to actually ask, what actually is this? And with a curiosity, put attention on the emotion in the body and really try to feel what that emotion is trying to say or communicate. I've done this a lot. You get you can kind of follow the emotion in the body, and it'll move, and then it'll dissipate and reform, and it's a way to sort of get, I think, to some of the more rooted, impactful things that still live in the body, sometimes from the past or trauma. And you can work with emotion as an invitation into working with like our histories and what we're carrying unconsciously. So emotion is a great gift and a great kind of tool and a technique, or the emotion is a tool that we can use with certain techniques of working with emotion as a way to kind of heal. But embrace the emotion. I mean, I just had, before I did this, I was thinking I need to what would get me in the right headspace? My landlord gave me this fresh honey from some Albanian villagers. She brought it down when I moved in. I just ate a spoonful of that, and it just felt wonderful. To feel that on my tongue and the pleasure that it brought me. And that's not something that I would ever want to turn away from. I wanted to feel that so I could go into this recording space with the sense of that energy, that positive emotional energy, to send it out to you. And I knew I'd be talking about this too. So with Venus in Cancer for this just under a month, making a trine to Jupiter from Pisces, this is where I'm going with it, working with the emotion, letting the emotion be our guide for healing and for enjoyment in life. Life is not a veil of tears. It shouldn't always be that. We've got to say, I want to feel these positive emotions as a way to just be here and enjoy what we're supposed to do here, which is to have fun. At least a lot of it should be fun. So, and the other thing I just mentioned, this summer, the big transit, everybody will be talking about it. I'll introduce you to this now if you haven't heard of it yet. Mars will oppose Saturn by sign all summer. So when on that 11th, when June, when Mars comes into Leo, you can see here Mars is opposite Saturn, and this will define those summer months while Mars is there with Saturn. It can be a very contentious aspect. So just know you have Venus and this water trine really there supporting our coping with the Mars-Saturn opposition for about the first good chunk of that. Venus comes into Leo, what did I say here? In late June 26th, June 27th, Venus comes into Leo. So at least about a third of that opposition, you've got this water trying to help us get ready, enjoy some things, set us up. I find astrology, that's why we study it, because it's always cycles. And there's always moments of real good energy, good astrology that we can lean into. Sometimes that will then prepare us for the difficult astrology. But it's always changing. It's never just a curse of difficulty. And I think this is a great example of that, because you have the water trine giving us that really nice emotional energy to enjoy before Venus then comes into Leo to then confront Saturn head on with Mars. So just know that that's another part of this Venus-Jupiter trine. It's setting us up to prepare for that summer Mars-Saturn opposition. Okay, let's move here. The other thing about this week of astrology, it's a lovely week for the moon and the moon's transits. Maybe the best one I've seen in some time. And that really can help with the sense of strange, the sense of being stranded in an unknown realm between eclipses. We've got a ton of support here with the moon. And first, and I'm just going to walk us through it. I'll walk us through it with the animate page. You've got where we are sitting now as I'm recording this. The moon is dealing with Saturn. It's co-present there with Saturn, so we might have to toughen up a little bit on here on Sunday and into Monday. But as soon as the moon hits Pisces, it's with its ruler Jupiter. It's got tons of support from Jupiter. The moon doesn't make hard aspects to any of the malefic planets or the nodes, the lunar nodes. Like I said, this is my transit of the week. Some picking some energy here on Tuesday into Wednesday, Thursday. This midweek Pisces moon, it's just it's going to be very, very tasty. But then the moon comes into Aries, and look where Mars is. Mars is in Cancer. So we have the mutual reception that we've been enjoying with Mars and the moon. We'll get that for this moon transit. So there's a lot of support. Mutual receptions are like two planets deciding to join forces and support each other. So the idea of two heads are better than one, two brains are better than one, two bodies are better than one. That's what happens here. And so it really opens up the chart, because you might say, well, Mars struggles here in Cancer. It's in the sign of its fall. Maybe it's a little bit too much emotion for Mars. Mars likes to burst out and act and have freedom. You know, Cancer is very much a homebody energy. And so sometimes Mars has problems there, but look, the moon is in Aries, and so they can share ideas. You know, Mars can get from the moon, a moon that wants to be active like Mars. The moon can say, hey, you're at my home, Mars. Help me with this. I want to be active now. And Mars will give pointers, and then, you know, vice versa. They flow together. So you kind of get the best of both worlds, even when a planet may be in a difficult placement. So you get this Aries moon. Then you get the Taurus Moon, and the Taurus Moon, the sign where the moon is exalted, makes the amazing mutual reception with Venus. So the moon, for about 5 days here this week, as it's waning into the Gemini eclipse, so all of the lunar transits before it hits Gemini, the two before it goes into Gemini, that's Aries and Taurus, the moon is mutually received by its ruler being in Cancer. So it just, you know, it gives us an ability to access the moon, the body, the feeling good in our bodies, feeling good and comfortable in the space we're in, you know, maybe working out with the body as a way to get access to the comfort while this moon is in Aries. Sometimes the movement and the flow, I've talked about this quite a lot in videos, is a way to come home to the body, you know, and that's all what the yoga practice is about. That's why I love yoga, fell in love with it, because I remember I started doing it when I was my early 20s, 19, I think. And I came home and I was like laying in bed, and I had a whole new experience with my body. It's like I'm just a whole new awareness of it. And that's how movement can support the lunar significations, movement in this case being Mars. So you get that, then you flow into the Taurus moon, and I think this could be the pampering transit where you can just get comfortable wherever you're at, come home, get into bed, you know, whatever you're comfortable eating, maybe get that spoonful of honey. I like it. I'm kind of dieting a little bit, you know, but I always allow myself these natural raw honeys, just one taste of it. It sort of satisfies that craving for me, and I think it can be much healthier. But whatever it is for you, this is a nice comfort transit. And remember, all of this week, it's a waning moon. We're waning into the solar eclipse, and waning energy is an energy of reformulation, of coagulation, of kind of recombining things after the climax. It's the morning after, and then the weeks and months, in the days after intensity, the integrative phase. That's what the waning energy is. And so, you know, this is what I'm thinking with this Taurus moon, this lovely mutual reception. You're going to have a chance to just kind of integrate with some of the physical pleasures and comforts that you use to integrate. I mean, I don't ever beat myself up. You know, if I'm tired, I'll go lay down for even 30 minutes, just get into bed, give myself a little break from reality. That's certainly a Tauresian, and with this moon in Taurus, Venus in Cancer. So do that for yourself, love yourself. Now you do have the overcoming square from Saturn and Aquarius that does make this Taurus moon a little bit of a more serious energy. So I think that you know, this comfort might be convalescent style comfort with this Taurus moon, but anyhow, you get the mutual reception, a great mitigating feature of that mutual reception. So that is the moon this week. Really enjoy it, really take advantage of it. And let's see here, I was just thinking here, I said the allure of beauty, the comfort and power of beauty. I'm thinking with the Taurus moon and Venus in Cancer, Venus is the beauty planet. So you have a moon ruled by Venus, and then Venus in the moon's sign. You know, think about sitting in an art gallery. Have you ever done that? You find a painting you like, you just sit down. And that often these galleries will have some comfortable chairs at various points, and it's like sitting and getting comfortable in the body and being surrounded by beautiful expressions of life, you know, on the canvas or sculpture or whatever it is. That's how I'm thinking about this moon in Taurus. So, okay, that's the weekly astrology. Enjoy your strange land between eclipses. Embrace the unknown, embrace the beauty, the strange beauty of the unknown. Let's get some tarot cards. Let's do that. So, okay. Here we go. I'm gonna pull this first card, S.J. Anderson. Weekly astrology, weekly tarot. Let's do it here. The first card is, all right, we got let me just get to my files here. We have the King of Clubs. King of Clubs. This is the Fire King. This is the Aries energetic, the Emperor, if you're corresponding this deck to the major arcana of the Tarot. So where, you know, this is Aries, the Emperor energy. I think about to become king. You know, you often have to take risks. You have to go with your gut. You have to make decisions based on, you know, your inner knowing and your beliefs about reality. And then you have to take that action. You know, people that are not out in the world, engaged in the games of life, they are not going to, you know, rise up in the world. It's like if you want to be like a hedge fund manager, I'm just throwing that as a potential career out. You're going to need to go out, learn those skills, take action, make the bets, make the investments, meet other people in your field. I mean, you have to be active. And the same like as an astrologer, I got to be active. If I want to be an astrologer, I've got to share astrology, practice astrology, get active, get out into the world with it. And that's how I can hopefully come into my powers better as an astrologer, is by practicing it. So that's what I'm seeing here as a theme of the so I've just given you a whole delineation on Aries and on the King. This card is actually the Page. I just noticed that. Let me just give a few thoughts and then I'll move. I mean, I think the Aries energetic and the Emperor energetic, one thing to say about it is that the Page is the beginnings of that, in terms of how this deck can be interpreted. You have the Page or the Jack, then you rise up to become the Queen, and then you rise up to become the King. So there's kind of an order of growth. So everything I just said with the Page, you can think about stops and starts in that direction, the beginnings of action, sort of a timid newness where we first decide to maybe envision what we want to be and then to take those actions. This would actually correspond to Sagittarius, the sign of Sagittarius, and it's the lunar eclipse we just had in Sagittarius. This is the position of what just happened. So think about what happened last week. How was your eclipse? Any synchronicities, any strange turns of events for you? I know I had some. Wow, some really powerful stuff. And now I can build on that, you know. So I'm thinking this is more about integrating what we just went through in terms of that lunar eclipse as we are in the middle of the eclipses, and then we're kind of climaxing and culminating with the 10th of June solar eclipse. So I'm going to move. Sorry about getting off there. I need to slow down sometimes and actually notice what I'm looking at. So let me get that second card. Okay, this is actually the Magician. This is going to be the great magician of the Tarot, and this is one of my favorite cards because the Magician, it's about our power as human beings. It's about the power we have. All the things I was talking about earlier about the limitations, the kind of delimiting of potentiality with our consciousness. That's what the Magician at its best operates in and from, is we can see these realms of potential. You know, we call upon the divine. This card has one arm raised and then one arm down, but often you see with the two arms, one is pulling down from the divine and manifesting that into the physical form. But this pulling down from the divine is kind of an openness. We have to say, I don't know, you know, God, universe, I don't know, you know, give me and crack open what I believe is possible and feed me what you want me to do. Feed me your potential, the potentials you want me to see, and then we can manifest that into the physical form. So it's this great empowering card. And of course it corresponds to Mercury, the planet Mercury, which is retrograde right now and rules the solar eclipse in Gemini. So this might be telling us like we need to get our Mercury down right now. The review part of Mercury retrograde, that Mercury retrograde will be ruling the solar eclipse. It's actually going to be in the heart of the sun during the solar eclipse. So this Mercury energetic is going to become extremely important, not only this week, but next week. I'll probably talk way more about it in next week's video, but get your mind around your writings. Do you have things you want to write? How do you name your reality? What are the names you use? I mean, I think about self-talk here, and I'll stop after this, but the idea of what we say to ourselves is so important for that water sentience that I just spoke about at length in the video. You know, we're so sensitive that even our inner dialogue is probably the thing we might be most sensitive to, and that's all Mercury, the thinking. So I really want to encourage you to maybe during this retrograde get into this idea of how do you like the way you talk to yourself? You know, do you find pleasure and enjoyment, that water trine, Venus and Jupiter, from the thinking that you're exposing yourself to? And if not, I would encourage you to get some new thoughts. That's the beauty of life. You know, while Mercury's retrograding, review, and then you're going to have that direct Mercury later. But while it's in Gemini moving direct, can implement maybe some new thinking or new strategies of thinking. I really don't have, I try to actually, to be honest, I have almost zero patience for negativity from myself to myself. It's been a long journey to get where I am with that, but I have zero patience for it. And you know, occasionally I'll let something slip for a moment or two, but I know how powerful it is that I just can't have any tolerance for, you know, me being mean to myself, you know. So anyhow, that's where I'm at with this. That is the tarot reading. Enjoy your week, enjoy the strangeness, and we'll talk very, very soon. As always, you can go to my website, sjanderson144.com. Click here to schedule a reading right at the top. We'll talk about your life. We can talk about my astrological systems. I can pull some tarot cards for you. And, you know, hopefully I can give you something in that exchange. I love doing astrology readings, so you can book them there or schedule them there, and have a lovely, lovely week ahead. I'll talk to you very, very soon.